Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com. Today we're going to make an easy fruit tart, and this is what it looks like. 3 layers. On the bottom we have a buttery, crisp shortbread crust. We're going to top this with a smooth and creamy no-bake filling, and then on top we have lots of fruit. Today I'm using berries, but you can use whatever's in season. Berries aren't looking too good. You could use like melon, fresh peaches, bananas, kiwi fruit, mango, whatever you can find and you like. So not only does this look beautiful, it tastes so good, and it's pretty easy to make. So the first thing you will need is a 9-inch tart pan, 2 pieces. 9 inches, 23 centimeters. If you didn't have a tart pan like this, you could just use a springform pan. And this has 1-inch sides, 2.5 centimeters. I'm just going to lightly butter the bottom of the pan just to make sure that the shortbread doesn't stick. So I just melted a little bit of butter, and then I'm just using a pastry brush. You could just spray it too with one of those non-stick sprays if you prefer. Okay. And now for the shortbread crust. 3 main ingredients: flour, sugar, butter. I'm going to make it, because this is an easy fruit tart, I'm going to use my food processor. But you could really use like a stand mixer, or you can just make it by hand, because it's not very difficult. First thing you will need is 1 cup, which is 130 grams of all-purpose flour, plain flour. I'm just going to add just a pinch, like 1/8 teaspoon of salt, and 1/3 cup, 35 grams of confectioner's sugar, also called, depending on where you live, powdered or icing sugar. It's a little bit of sweetness there. Whoop. Get that all in there. And now I'm just going to put this on just for a second to mix everything together. Now, if you were doing it, just a large bowl, just kind of whisk it around and mix it together. That's it. Not too difficult. And then butter, shortbread, butter. That's what it's all about. So you will need 1/2 cup, 113 grams. You could use either unsalted or salted butter, either way, whichever one you like to make shortbread and you have in the house. You want it cold, and I've chopped it into pieces here, nice and cold. Now what I'm going to do is just going to pulse this until you want it to get mixed together. Now you don't want a solid ball of dough, you just want to mix this until it starts to form clumps. So if you were doing it by hand, just with your fingertips, just work the butter into the flour until it starts to come together and form clumps, same as what you do in a food processor. Either way. Okay, you can start, the sound of the food processor changes when it starts to clump together. So that's it. It is easy. If you go to our Joy Baking YouTube channel or the joybaking.com website, I also have a recipe for the classic, more French fruit tart. Okay, I'm just going to empty this right in here. And the difference is, if you do the classic, it has a sweet pastry crust on the bottom. It's a little more work to make because you have to chill it, roll it, and all that. We are, in this one, we're just going to press it right in the pan. So that's another reason I call it easy, because there's no rolling, chilling. Well, we are going to chill it, but it's a lot easier, and it tastes shortbread. If you're a shortbread fan like I am, you will love this. So now, just kind of see what I'm doing here. Just kind of spread it out. And I'm just going to press it in. So I like to do around the sides first, just to get that, make sure I have all that. And another difference between this and your classic, like we are doing a no-bake filling, whereas a classic French fruit tart has a pastry cream, which takes a little longer. Good too, but you know, trying to simplify things here. So once you have the sides, I just take my finger, once I press it, and then just kind of go down. So it's not too thick, and you want it all even. And then I'm just going to press it over the bottom. I'm just using my fingers. You could use the back of a spoon if you prefer. So I just go around to make sure it's an even thickness around the sides, and then just really want to make sure. Just take your finger and press around the edge there. I know it didn't look like it was enough batter, but you can see it just spreads right out. And then I'm just going to take my spoon, smooth it out. And once you're happy with it and it feels even on the bottom, then I'm going to just take a fork and prick the bottom. That will help prevent it from puffing up while it bakes. And then what I'm going to do is put this into the freezer and cover it and put it in the freezer for about 15 minutes. That way it's chilled, and again, it kind of prevents the crust from shrinking down on the sides and puffing up. And while that's chilling in the freezer, you want to preheat your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 220 degrees Celsius. So that's what I'm going to do, and when we come back, we will bake it off. So now we are ready to bake our shortbread crust. It's nice and chilled. So what I do is just put my tart pan on a larger baking sheet. Makes it a little easier to get it in and out of the oven. So we are going to bake this until it's golden brown, which, depending on your oven, everybody's oven is a little different, is going to be about 13 to 15 minutes. I do like to rotate my tart pan front to back about halfway through just to get a really nice even bake. So 13 to 15 minutes. So now our shortbread crust is done. Doesn't that look gorgeous? So what you want to do is put your pan on a wire rack. And now what we're going to do is just let that cool down to room temperature. And then next we will make our cream filling. So now we're going to make our filling. I'm just going to make it by hand, just in a bowl. But you could use either a hand mixer or a stand mixer, whatever you want. So really easy to make. You will need a half a cup, which is 125 grams of mascarpone cheese. This is, it is buttery rich, smooth, and with this like velvety texture. It's just really wonderful. You can find it in usually in little plastic tubs in the deli section of most grocery stores. If you can't find it, then a really good substitute is just regular cream cheese. Just a half a cup, 125 grams of cream cheese. But if you can find this, mascarpone, really, it will take your filling to a whole nother level. So I'm just going to squash it down there. Make it a little easier to mix. And then you will need a half a cup. Oh, and my cheese is cold, just right out of the fridge. You will also need a half a cup, 120 grams of, and this is cold too, heavy whipping cream. That's cream with a 35 to about 40% butterfat content, and that means when you whip it, it will hold stiff peaks. So let's put that right in there. You can tell, I mean, this is going to be good. And then you can really add whatever amount of sugar to taste, but I like about 2 tablespoons, 30 grams of just granulated white sugar. You could use powdered or, confectioner sugar also, but I'm just using regular sugar. And I like to flavor it with a little bit of vanilla extract, a half a teaspoon, 2 grams of pure vanilla extract. If you wanted to use another flavoring, you could. If you didn't want a vanilla flavor, you can just leave that out, but it is good. Try it. You'll like it. So now, I'm just going to whisk this till it's nice and thick. Like I said, you can use your hand mixer for this, stand mixer. Okay, so that looks good. You want it nice and thick. Now, especially if you do it by hand, you can kind of tell, oh, that's thick enough. Sometimes when you use a mixer, you may, it happens, over mix it and it gets too thick. Don't worry about it. All you need to do is I always have a little extra heavy cream and then just pour in a little and do this by hand and whisk it in until you get it to the right consistency. So don't worry if you overmix. So that's our cream. We are done. So I'm just going to get my tart shell and then my fruit, and we will assemble everything. So now we have everything. We are all ready. So what you can do, if you want to take off the sides now, what I like to, the easiest way, put a little cup there, and then I just put that on there, and it slides off. So, there is the bottom plate. I like to leave it on there because I find it easier to cut. If you want to take it off, you can just take your knife or spatula and just kind of get it between the plate and the shortbread, and it'll just lift away because we did lightly butter that bottom plate, but I'm going to leave it on. So now, take that. Spread our cream. Now, if you wanted to, you want to divide this up over a couple days, you could make your shortbread crust, bake it off, and then just cover it and store it overnight. You could even make your filling ahead of time and just put it in the fridge, or you could assemble it like, it's things you can do ahead, but really this doesn't take that long to make all at once. So I'm using the offset spatula, just use the back of a spoon, spread it out. This is just so good. I mean, I like the classic, the fruit tart with the, sweet pastry crust and the pastry cream. But you know what? For every day, and I want something during the week, this is a quick, and everyone loves it. What's not to like? We'll just spread it out, get it to the edges. Okay, looks pretty good. We're covering it up so you don't have to be too fussy, although I am. I admit it. Okay. Fruit. Okay, so you will need about 3 cups, which is about 1 pound 450 grams of fruit. Really, it's about what's in season, what you like. Right now, berries are in season, so I've got a variety. You don't even have to use a variety. You can use one fruit, like one berry, strawberries, or whatever you have. But I'm using blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, and strawberries. I cut it all. But you know, like I said, in the summer, you could have fresh peaches, maybe peaches with raspberry. I mean, really. And, okay, I'm going to just take it even a little further. You could use a can of like cherry pie filling on top of this. That's really good. Or a fruit sauce, like a strawberry or a raspberry, blueberry. I mean, really, use your imagination and just do whatever. Now, how you put your fruit on here is up to you. You can just dump it all on, or you could do concentric circles. You could do rows. But I'm kind of like, I like it random, but I don't like to dump, so I'm kind of just strategically random. And so if I put that, if I use strawberries, what I do, Carrie's here because she loves strawberries. I take off, I got some white there, so I take it off. You could slice it, but what I do is I just do like that. I kind of like the look of that. But either way, then you put your blueberries, favorite raspberries. So just have fun with it. As much or as little as you want to put on. So there we have it, our easy fruit tart. I did put my crust on the nice cake pedestal. So you could assemble it and put it into the refrigerator and chill it down. I'm just going to cut right into it. And if you wanted to, you could dress it up a little more with a little sprinkling of powdered sugar. But I don't think it needs it. It almost looks too pretty to cut into. I like to just wipe my knife in between cuts. In between the fruit there. Okay, and kind of just comes right off that plate. There we have it. Oh, doesn't that look gorgeous? So let's try some. I'm just gonna hit one more. I love raspberries, so the combination is just delicious. The shortbread crust, it is buttery, it's crisp, and then you add to that the cream filling. That's so smooth. Has such a nice little bit of sweetness, not overly sweet. We didn't overly, the shortbread's not too sweet, and then the cream filling is not too sweet. Like I said, the cream filling, you can adjust that sweetness to your own personal taste. And then the fruit, you know, if berries are in season, I was lucky enough when I decided to shoot this video that all the berries were in season and they looked wonderful. So, I mean, it does look good, but like I said, use other fruits or canned fruit or fruit sauces, lemon curd. I mean, really, this basic of the shortbread crust and the cream filling, it's kind of like a multi-purpose. You could have so many toppings for it. And so you can eat it right away. You can cover it and store it in the fridge a few days. Now, over, you know, time, I find if after a day or two, the cream will start to soften that shortbread crust, so it won't be as crisp, but it's still really good. So you must make this. And until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com.